sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
I don't know why you're counting down, you're doing it.
Good evening. I think this is working. Good evening, everybody in chat. How's it going this amazing Thursday evening? Myself and Steve-O previewing Game Week 12. We are all excited for Game Week 12. Hopefully you can have another amazing game week of lots of points, lots of Lundstrom points, lots of Vardy points, lots of Martial points. You know, you guys in chat have got lots of Aguero points, all being well and good, considering Jesus started in the Champions League. We got FPL Penguin in chat, Daily Llama, Padraig Donnelly, Aussie Boy's here, Aussie Boy up in the morning, up in the early hours again. Shane McGuinness, One Rovers Vlogs. Charlie, how you doing, my friend? Daily Llama, the genius mastermind that is Daily Llama in chat. Chelsea Flyer, Block FPL's there as well. We've got Partha Nair, Greasy Trumpet, Yassine Klausch, Davey P's here, the moderation sensation. We've got Anish Thakkar, VAR. Dan Bull's in chat as well. Hey Dan, how you doing, buddy? Looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to a hopeful Arsenal victory at the weekend. We're going to be previewing all the games. Steve-o, how are you?
Yes, good evening, Jason. Good evening, everybody. What can I say? I'm not really looking forward to this game week. I think when we get to our predictions, I am genuinely not predicting a very, very high-scoring game week indeed. In fact, the majority of my score lines are either 1-1 or 1-0. So I'm not really looking forward to this. But what I can say is that last night was a fantastic stream. Just want to say thank you to everybody that joined me last night for that very impromptu Q&A while I was listening into the Red Star Belgrade and Tottenham game. So as probably most people can tell, it's a slightly different setup, unfortunately, due to the Wi-Fi's gone down in my house. I can't access it, so everything's done from my phone, and this could be a much shorter stream. In fact, it probably will be a lot shorter stream than normal because I can't hear phone calls or anything, unfortunately. But
people are commenting on your haircut, mate. They're loving your buzz cut, mate. It looks like you're just come out of the Marines.
Yeah, well, I have trained. It doesn't matter, but it's old school, Jason. How appropriate since this time last week was our 1 year anniversary, and we're back to old school. You hosting on Skype and me on my mobile phone in my room. Absolutely,
it is, and a few people commenting on the new area. It's not a new area. It's just I've had a worktop installed into my kitchen. It's like a breakfast bar. This is kind of eventually going to be a breakfast bar. At the moment, I've got my computer on it. I've got a plan to move my computer under the stairs. It's a really crazy plan. I'm going to be like Harry Potter. I'm going to be living under the stairs in my computer. But it's all changing. I'm thinking I'm getting a different computer at the end of this month, all being well and good. That's going to be able to power everything that I want powering at the same time. To be honest, it's only since that one stream I had 100% CPU usage. I think a program was running that I didn't turn off, and I think since then it's actually been okay. I'm running around about the 90% mark. I am looking to get, for those of you tech guys in chat, I'm looking at getting a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9. I think a Ryzen 9 may be a little bit overkill for what I want to do. I don't think I need a Ryzen 9. But an octa-core will be good, just as much as I need probably for this. Steve-o, are you looking good on your phone, by the way? It sounds good. Your video's good. The guys in chat aren't really commenting on it, so yeah, it looks good our end. We're gonna go through the fixtures for this weekend. We start off on Friday evening. It's a big game. Like this is it feels like you should do a deadline stream just for this, Steve-o.
All being well and good, there probably will be. I'm hoping that the Wi-Fi will be back up and running, and there should be a deadline stream tomorrow evening. So come in with your deadline issues and join me for that 1 hour prior to this shambles of a game, because that's what I'm predicting. I think this game's going to be absolutely awful, Jason. I was thinking 0-0, but then I realised, wait a minute, both teams can actually score goals. I'm going to be going 1-1, Jason.
I think this is going to be a 2-1 win to Norwich. I think this is the game where Pukki will probably score. He may even get 2 goals. I'm going to go 2-1 to Norwich in this fixture. I don't know how many of you guys are loyal to Pukki, but I think this could be the game where he pays back the patience to all the owners out there. And I must admit, people commenting on your triceps, Staz commenting on your triceps. I think this camera angle doesn't do me justice. It makes me look like a weed compared to Steve. I don't like it. Maybe I should sit like this and push out my biceps. If I sit like this, guys, my biceps closer to the camera, maybe I can kind of even it out. What do you reckon? But yeah, I need to get down the gym. All my evenings are kind of busy at the moment. I pay for a year membership at the gym, and I go literally I don't even want to admit. But yeah, what does the history say?
Extraordinarily, and talking of which, I keep banging on about this, and Daily Llama, when we did our 1 year anniversary, made this very amusing point that he feels really sorry for me that I just don't I tell you guys to listen to the history, but I don't listen to the history myself.
Yeah.
And as ever, last week, the statistics came in regarding the respective games. For example, what was it? Newcastle have won 4 out of the last 6 versus West Ham. What happened? They beat West Ham again. But the history's going with a 3-2 to Norwich, a high-scoring game. There's been 23 goals scored in the last 6 between these two teams. On 4 occasions, Norwich have actually scored 3+ goals, and Watford on 4 occasions have scored 2+ goals. So this could be a very, very high-scoring game indeed. I have no idea whether I'm going to cover the game or not, but we will see tomorrow evening. Moving on to and it's really, really annoying that this
apparently Anthony Martial's possibly scored a goal, but there's something about VAR. I'm just double checking. I'm just double checking this because obviously there are games on tonight. Martial in the 33rd minute. Obviously Mason Greenwood getting the first goal with Marcus Rashford with the assist.
Oh, he scored, has he? I didn't know. Right.
Yeah, apparently. Martial. I don't know if it's actually. Has been VAR'd, says Nick. I don't know if it's a goal. It's a goal. Okay, fine. It's a goal. So Martial, save it for the weekend. Absolutely. Save it for the weekend. Not that Steve-O cares at the moment, but anyway. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to... Let's talk about the weekend. Let's move on to Saturday then. Chelsea versus Palace. 12:30. I think that a lot of people... going to be owning 1 or 2 Chelsea assets probably at the minimum. A lot of people transferring in Pulisic. I mean, you were saying Pulisic is a great option for people possibly looking to transfer out Son, but obviously, ironically now, that move could end up being a backfire. Say again.
More prevalent is the switch from Mason Mount to Pulisic, but we've all found out that Mason Mount actually played today.
Well, he did, but there's a caveat. There was something I read on Twitter that apparently he's injured. It wasn't looking great. Let me quickly just double check what the actual post was so I can read it out verbatim. Because I don't want to get in trouble by anyone in chat. And the people in chat asking why are there no members on tonight? It's purely because Steve-O's internet is off, so he's on his mobile phones, so he wouldn't be able to hear us on you on Discord. So we've just decided for this game week that we're not going to be having a member on discussing the fixtures. While you look at that, do you want to give us your prediction for that Chelsea Palace game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game is going to be a lot tighter than what people think. Like I said, I'm surprised this is a lunchtime kickoff, considering Chelsea play in the Champions League on Tuesday evening. It's a local derby, and I think this is going to be quite a tight game. I think Chelsea are just going to pull through, though, and I'm going 2-1 to Chelsea, Jason.
2-1 to Chelsea. Yeah, I think... I think I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go 3-1 to Chelsea in this game. I think that there's goals for Chelsea. Mason Mount trained with, like the guys in chat are saying, they've trained this morning after the ankle injury on Tuesday. He's going to have more physio this afternoon or earlier on this afternoon and undergo a fitness test tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have more of an understanding of what's happening with Mason Mount. Hopefully, myself, I really hope he plays. I don't want to have to rely on Hudson-Odoi. But yeah, 3-1 is my prediction. What does the history say on that one? I just want to quickly say before you do that, the guys in chat are giving their predictions as well. Yassine Klaus says 2-0. James Carson says 1-0 to Chelsea. VAR 2-0 to Chelsea. 5-1, Don. Really? 5-1. Easy win against Palace. 5? I thought I was optimistic with 3. No worries, Alto. 2-2, says Charlie in chat. Chelsea's defence is awful. I admit they are. I think they will concede. I don't know if it will be 2, though. Mount, yeah, so thanks for the update tips. 2-1 Chelsea, says Block FPL. Good evening, Flapjack. Zaha double. apparently. We got 2-1 Penguin, 2-1 Staz, and TP7 saying that Palace is on fire on the counter-attack and Palace will win. Well, it all depends, doesn't it? Will VAR, here's a question, will VAR again cause havoc this weekend, Steve-O?
I have this feeling that it may go on the reverse. Obviously, last week we had all the controversy where VAR wasn't giving goals it should have stood and various other random decisions that it wasn't getting involved with. Maybe this week it could be the complete opposite. And actually we get goals given that should be given, etc., etc. So
if they aren't under pressure, if they aren't under pressure now, I don't think they'll ever be under pressure, because the amount of bad publicity that VAR has had over the last, since its inception at the beginning of the season, you would think that they would be now looking very closely at this and trying to get it right. It's not performing the way it's supposed to be. Everyone in chat saying VAR is a shambles. It's not good on the fans in the stadium. You know, they're cheering and then they cheer and they automatically swing their heads around to the screen to make sure, you know, they can carry on cheering, which takes the fun away from the game being live in that environment. But anyway, moving on. Your team at 3:00. We'll start with Burnley versus West Ham. After the defeat, are you confident that Burnley can try and nick a goal here and win at home?
No. Just before we go on to that, just quickly the history on Chelsea.
The history. Yeah,
it's going 2-1 to Chelsea. Chelsea have won 4 out of the last 6, 2 of them being 1-0. Crystal Palace also have 2 wins, both being 2-1, but just in favour of Chelsea there. But going on to what you were saying about Burnley versus West Ham, at the moment we're just not performing. And as some of the experts are saying, we look like we're heading for the relegation at the moment where we're playing. West Ham aren't going to enjoy this game whatsoever, and I'm kind of going on the opinion of Serge off Planet FPL by saying that West Ham do not like to play teams that essentially don't like to attack, which is basically us. I think we're just both going to cancel each other out, Jason. I think that Sean Dyche will have laid down the law. He's already come out and basically said that performance against Sheffield United was essentially you're a bunch of clowns, and who the hell do you think you are putting on the T-shirt and representing this club the way you performed? It's disgusting, basically. And there may be players like Charlie Taylor that may be given. In fact, he was put on at half time or for the second half. And Sean Dyche did praise him. He's 4.2 million. I'm not suggesting buying him, like someone said in the chat yesterday. But what I will say is that I think they're just going to cancel each other out, and I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Wow.
One of the 5 1-1 draws I'm predicting this game week.
Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for a draw as well. I'm gonna go 0-0. I don't think either team's gonna score. I think Burnley will hold out West Ham. Got this feeling that it's gonna be staunch defence. They may nick a goal, Burnley. I mean, they need to. God, they need to. But I just think it's gonna be 0-0. I just think it's gonna just be a cancel out, like you said, instead of 1-1, 0-0. Would you take a draw, Steve-O?
I want to take a performance in which basically we come out of it with some credibility. I'd take a point, absolutely, just to give us a confidence booster. And yeah, I would happily take a draw right now. The fact that we've just lost 2 on the bounce, conceding 7 goals, it's just awful. So yeah, I would take a draw, Jason, easily.
That's fair. I'm moving on. Was the history say anything on that game?
History's going 2-1 to West Ham, unfortunately. There's only been 1 draw in the last 6. West Ham, though, won 3 of the last 6, and Burnley have won 2. Within this fixture, there has actually been 3 clean sheets. So you never know, there could be a clean sheet involved in this particular game on the weekend. Talking of clean sheets, Newcastle versus Bournemouth. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. You're going to be loving life, Jason, when I predict this game. I'm going exactly the same way you went with Burnley West Ham. I'm going a dreadful 0-0.
Oh, interesting. Well, I will be loving life because I think that I've got the most value that I think I've ever had in FPL out of Ramsdale, and I've had the most luck. I can attest to the fact that I was very lucky bringing him in for his 3 clean sheets allowance. Can it be the 4th? I'm going to be doubling up with Rico as well. So I think you'd be more than annoyed if they were to indeed keep a clean sheet like you predict. I think Bournemouth have got enough in them to get a goal. I feel that Newcastle have got enough in them to get a goal. I think that it's going to be 2-1 to Bournemouth. I'm not holding out hope of a clean sheet. I think my luck with Ramsdale is going to come to an end. It's got to come to an end. I mean, it would be ridiculous to expect him to keep another clean sheet. The guys in chat, 2-2, Fozzie says, hey Fozzie, how you doing? 2-1, Yassine agreeing with me. 2-0 to Bournemouth, says James Carson. We've got 1-0 to Bournemouth VAR. 2-1 Newcastle, Charlie says. 2-2. Not many people talking about clean sheets. Bilal in chat, 1-1. I'm just going to predict that, and if I do get a clean sheet, then I'm going to be loving the jamminess of it.
Yeah, I mean, but the history's going 2-1 to Bournemouth. Bizarrely, Bournemouth's away record versus Newcastle is really good. They've won 2 out of the last 3, whereas Newcastle away from home, they're unbeaten. They've played, again, Newcastle 3 times over the last 6 away from home. Newcastle played Bournemouth 3 times away from home. They've won 1, 2, 2 of them being 2-2. But when it's on Tyneside, it's looking like it's in Bournemouth's favour. Moving on to another absolutely dire game. I mean, Saturday FPL Live that we should be doing is going to be absolutely awful, I think. And we've got the next game being Southampton versus Everton, 2 teams that are just utterly atrocious.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be, here we go again, 1-1.
Oh, you're going to go with both teams to score? Interesting. Southampton need this. Everton need this.
Yeah.
Could it just be one of those really trash games that nothing happens in? I'm going to go... I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to go with another 0-0. I just don't think either team are going to get a goal. Digne, maybe he'll do something. I just think that going to cancel each other out. Drab draw. Bilal 2-2. Yassine 2-1 to Everton. 2-1 to Everton, says Matt Brunton. Ings double, Charlie says. We've got Ward-Prowse stand up. 2-0 to Southampton, Nick Patel says. VAR 1-0 Everton. So there's a bit of a mixture of opinion on this one. Shano 83, 3-1 to Everton. Richarlison goal 1-0, block FPL. The Don saying 3-2 to Everton. What's the history say, or did you not look it up?
Oh, of course I've looked it all up. The history's going 2-1 to Southampton. Both teams have 2 wins apiece over the last 6. But coincidentally, though, Southampton's 2 wins have both come at home. So it looks like the omens are looking good for Southampton. Moving on to Tottenham versus Sheffield United, 2 of our regular contributors, Brew and FPL Booner. They have gone Tottenham heavy in this particular fixture. I have no idea why, apart from the fact they're both Spurs fans.
Brought in Harry Kane for the captaincy, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he's mad. My mind...
It is. It's an odd one. It's Tottenham versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United are no mugs. Tottenham's record after Champions League games aren't exactly great. I do think, though, that Tottenham are just going, and I mean just edge this. I was thinking 0-0, 1-1, 1-0 either way, and I'm going 1-0, but just in Tottenham's favour, Jason.
All the members spam the Lord Lundstrom emote. Go for it, man. I think this is going to be a game that Tottenham are going to find really hard at home to break down Sheffield United. Sheffield United have got a quality... Their game plan is brilliant. Their tactics, defensive strategy is top, and I think that could Lord Lundstrom again pay us some just basically give us some points. I mean, I don't know. I think Tottenham have got enough to win this game. I really do. Son being in, I think they will score. I'm gonna go with a I'm sorry, guys. I'm playing Lundstrom as well. I just think that I think it's going to be a win for Tottenham. I don't want to. I don't want to say more than one goal. I'm going to go 1-0 to Tottenham in this game.
This game for me screams out the Cardiff and Burnley games where everybody thinks that they're going to get battered, and it ended admittedly it ended in Tottenham's favour, but only ended 1-0, and a lot of people putting faith into Tottenham assets, but it didn't pay off well. The history is going 2-0 to Tottenham. The two games versus Sheffield United at home have both resulted in wins. However, away from home, it was a win and a draw for Sheffield United. However, this dates all the way back to 2006. So again, it means not much, really. Now, finally, we move on to what is the history, let's be honest here, favoured captain option, which is Jamie Vardy's Leicester. They're at home to Arsenal. People like me are panicking, not that I don't own Jamie Vardy or whatever, but my prediction doesn't really reflect that. I honestly think that at the end of the day, Arsenal's record isn't actually that bad. Like Man United's, all they do is draw games. And I think they're going to do it again. And I think this is going to be a lot tighter than what people think. I'm going 1-1, Jason.
Really? Against that Arsenal defence, I think Leicester are going to rip it up at home. I really do. It'd be interesting to see what Dan Bull says in chat. I mean, we got Resi Desi 4-1, James Carson 4-1, Leicester 3-2 Arsenal. Dan saying 3-2 to Arsenal, so he expects there to be a high scoring game. Tobias 3-2, Gravy Dave 3-1, 5-0 Leicester. Nick Patel says that's a bit optimistic. Vardy party. I think there's a lot of Vardy captainers in chat. I've got the feeling that there's a lot of Vardy captainers. Fozzie saying 3-1, Charlie saying 4-2. Perez will score again. It's Arsenal. Yes. I just think that I personally am going to go with a 2-1 win to Leicester. I think Arsenal will score. I don't think it's going to be goals galore. I'm just going to go with a decent win for Leicester in this game. And Arsenal, again, dropping points. So that's the Saturday's fixtures. What does the history say in this game?
Well, Vardy. I've already mentioned that Vardy is the best captain's option. He's started 6 times versus Arsenal, and he's got 5 goals. However, I will caveat that by saying that those 5 goals have only come across 3 fixtures, albeit over the last 4. He's got 2 double digit returns, so 2 goals in one fixture and 2 goals in another fixture, which was their most recent game. Overall, the aggregate score is a 3-1 to Leicester. Leicester has scored, I said this yesterday, Leicester has scored 3 goals in their last 4, have scored 3 goals in their last 4 games versus Arsenal. The last 2 at home have been 3-0 and 3-1, but maybe because there were red cards in each of those fixtures. We all know that Arsenal do like to get a red card, and maybe that plays into Leicester's hands. But it's no coincidence that the last 2 home fixtures that Arsenal have seen a red card and Leicester have gone on to batter them. So maybe if Arsenal can keep it to 11 men, it may be a lot tighter than we think. I'm really, really hoping that that Arsenal do keep it tight. Moving on to the Sunday games, and I know there's a chance that I could be covering that game as well, Leicester versus Arsenal. Moving on to Sunday's fixtures, is there any more progress on the United game tonight, Jason, or is it still 2-0?
Let me quickly have a look. So currently we're looking at, hang on, I think it's half-time 2-0, yeah.
Right. And just remind us of the goal scorers, Jason.
So it was So basically, it started off with Mason Greenwood with the goal with assist from Rashford. Apparently, Rashford missed a sitter in the game as well. Martial's had his chances, but he's taken one. He's converted. It's 2-0. Martial scoring the second.
Well, my full-time result for this game was 1 less than that. I just think that United, it's going to be an awful game again. And I think that Man United are going to get through this just. And I'm going 1-0, Jason, to United.
I think I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Man United at home.
agreeing with the history. The history won 3 out of the last 5. They've only conceded 1 goal, and that was at Old Trafford in a 2-1 victory last season. However, if this was away from home, Brighton have actually won both. There's only been 5 fixtures between these two teams, but both of the fixtures away from home, Brighton have won them both.
Well,
moving on.
Nishan ready. I was going to bring some of the scores out because some of them might surprise you. Nishanth says 2-1. We've got Resi Desi 3-1 United. Brighton, obviously 0-0 says Stas. Chelsea Fly 2-0. VAR 2-0 Man United. Scott Speed 2-0. But we've had some surprise ones here. Simeon Bachelor 3-1 to Brighton, which is interesting. 2-0 to Brighton says Chelsea Flyer. Sorry, Chelsea. I think I said the other way around. 2-1 to Brighton says the Don. 1-0 says Nick Patel. Okay, so a lot of I've seen quite a few people going with a Brighton win. I don't know. I think that's. I think United. This will be one of those games where we kind of control the game. We have lots of chances. We fizz the ball around a lot. We don't have much creativity, but we end up getting 2 jammy goals. I think it's going to be a game that we win. I think it's a game that we're going to finally get a clean sheet for. And anyone that's got Maguire, Wan-Bissaka or De Gea will be actually happy for once in their FPL lives. Next game. Wolves versus Villa.
Yeah, the local derby. And any news on Wolves tonight? I know it was 0-0.
God, well, the last time I saw it was, I'm just looking now, and where are we? Wolves, where are we? Someone probably, right someone in chat. Yeah, right at the bottom. Here we go. Half time 0-0. Yes, still 0-0. Slovan Bratislava 0-0 half time.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another tight game. I just have this feeling that Wolves, despite every game that they seem to play after the Europa League, they draw 1-1. I think they're just going to edge this just, and I mean just. I'm going 2-1, Jason, to Wolves.
Interesting. 2-1 to Wolves. Well, we got a few people saying 2-1 to Villa. Auto Reclose 2-1 Villa. Paul J 2-1 to Villa. Paul Williams 2-1 to Villa. Wow. Crazy Jack says 2-0 to Wolves. So does Nishanth Reddy in chat. So we've got a bit of a split in the community at the moment. Stas says 3-2 to Wolves. 3-1 Raul Jimenez says Scott Speed. Masterpiece says 3-2 to Villa. Villa 3-2 also says FPL Fozzy. So these late week Europe games. I mean I don't know. I don't know. I agree. I think that the Wolves have got the class, but then I think that Villa have got the class as well to get goals in this game. I'm going to go with a win for Villa. I think Villa are going to win 2-1.
Wow. Of course, they played each other the other week in the Carabao Cup, and it did end 2-1 to Villa, but that was at home. The history's going 2-2. Wolves have only won 2 out of the last 6.
That's not a bad scoreline, actually. Can I change mine to 2? I think that's probably. I like that scoreline more. I'm going to go 2-2. Sorry, I'm going to copy the history on this one, Steve-O.
No. Wolves have won 2 out of the last 6. By pure coincidence, both of those wins were at home. Aston Villa, though, 2 draws and 2 losses versus Wolves. So the omens aren't looking particularly. And now finally, a game that I should hopefully be covering. It's the 4:30 kickoff. It's the big one. It's Liverpool versus Man City. Reality is this. Man City have to win this to close that gap to 3 points.
They do, yeah.
Albeit Liverpool are still going to be ahead, but it'll be 3 points. And I think that could be a psychological effect on Liverpool. And maybe it could start this demise of this, close victories that Liverpool are getting. They're not destroying anybody at the moment. Same as Man City, but they're just getting through games. I'm just hoping this is goals galore. I know that Davey FPL on his show yesterday, the one that he posted today, he thinks this is going to be an open game. Again, this is a scoreline. I'm sitting on the fence again. I have gone with 4 captaincy options potentially from this as well. I'll go into that in a minute. But Jason, I think they're going to cancel each other out, and I'm going to go with a lowly 1-1.
Could it be the game that everyone anticipates? Obviously, the weekend, it's the Super Sunday, it's the big match. We've seen so many times these massively hyped games just turn out to be boring, cagey, conservative. Liverpool sit top of the tree, top of the log, as they say in South Africa. I would say that Pep's plan is to go out and attack straight from the off. I think they're going to try to exploit Trent Alexander-Arnold on that left-hand side with Sterling. I think they're going to try and get behind Van Dijk when they can. Aguero's going to be running into spaces. I can see goals in this game. I really can. And I'm trying to speak without my without my Man United head on at the moment. And I think that this could be a bit of a... I think this could be a bit of a surprise. I think Man City are going to win this game. And I think they're going to win it by 1 goal. I'm going to go 3-2 to Man City. Slugging it out like a pair of boxers. There we go.
Before we get into the history, what they call it, the chat
guys saying? In chat, well, 5-4 Liverpool says FPL tips. 1-1 says Damble. 3-1 Liverpool says Charlie. 1-0 says Nick Patel. 2-1 Liverpool Gav D. 3-1 City says Don. 3-2 to Liverpool says Fast Air. 2-0 to City says Space Otter. 2-0 to City also says Master P. 1-1 Scoreboard says FPL Fozzy. That's more realistic. That's the sort of FPL that we're familiar with. Daily Llama says 2-2. Nick Reed says 1-1. 3-2 Liverpool. Jose Saibi. Disguise says 2-0 Paul. A lot of people going with a Liverpool win. Yeah, a lot of people going with a Liverpool win on this one. Mane will celebrate his goal in front of Pep's face. 2-0 Liverpool. Edison is injured. I don't know if he's confirmed out. It's likely that he's going to be out. So they'll play Bravo. I think there'll be goals. I said there'll be goals. Ari Hiroki. That Edison being injured isn't going to stop City from scoring. All right.
Do you think that it is a worthy case to captain whether one of Mane, Salah, Aguero, or Sterling?
If I was going to captain a Liverpool player, it'd be Mane. I wouldn't entertain the idea of captaining Salah. I would go Mane all the way. Unless you want to be... I mean, I would say you could be clever and go with Alexander-Arnold. I think Mane is the man if you're going to captain someone on the Liverpool team. If you're going to captain someone in the Man City team, I'm going to go with Aguero, man. I'm going to go with Aguero. I'm not going to captain him. I'm not going to captain either team because it could be one of these where you kind of hype yourself up for a nice win or a nice score, goal fest, and it ends up doing what Steve-O says and being a boring 1-1 or something. I think that I've already decided my captain's Vardy, but if I was going to go with anyone from City, it would be Aguero. If I was going to go with anyone from Liverpool, it would be Mane. Sterling could be a very, very good option as well.
Well, here's the history. The history's going 2-1 to Liverpool. Liverpool have won 3 out of the last 6. At home, 2 out of the last 3 have actually ended in a clean sheet for Liverpool. So it could be finally another Trent. Well, it could be a Trent Alexander-Arnold clean sheet here. Regarding the players, so captaincy-wise, if we are planning on going with it, so Mane, Salah, Aguero, and Sterling. Mane has started against Man City 5 times and has got 2 goals. Salah, though, you dismissed him, but 6 starts, he's got 3 goals and 1 assist. Aguero, 2 starts, 1 sub-appearance, just the 1 goal. And Sterling, 4 starts, 1 sub-appearance, 1 goal and 2 assists. But overall, the captaincy, the history going.
Wait, what was
Jamie
Aguero's
Vardy.
stats on that? What was Aguero's stats?
Aguero starts 2 starts, 1 sub appearance, and he's just got the 1 goal.
Well, people in chat saying Aguero's hadn't scored in his 10 appearances at Anfield.
There we are. There we are.
There we go. So anyway, we'll that's the fixtures for the weekend. That's predictions. So according to a lot of people's predictions in chat, maybe we'll have a decent game week. Maybe we'll look at a 50 plus, 55 plus game week, which I do consider a game week that's decent on average.
Well, someone asked me the question last night why I expect the average to be this week, and I generally pride myself on predicting, and it's the only thing I seem to actually do well at. But anyway,
it's 57, didn't you?
Yeah, I said something between 60. Yeah, 57 and 63 points.
What average?
Between.
Wow,
and that's
really?
like just realistic.
Wow. I don't know. It sounds a bit like deja vu. I think we've been here a few game weeks ago, didn't we? God, the average was like 30 or something. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go a bit lower. I'm gonna go. I think between 45 and 50, the average will be this game week. 55. 55 to 60 seems a little bit high.
Well, I based that on obviously the players that. Well, let's be honest here. The highly owned players that. Let's be honest here. You and I own. So that's what it's based on. And yeah, I mean, I can't obviously account for the millions of other teams that have, but based on popular player picks, for example, Mason. This is before Mason Mount got injured, or whatever. But I predicted with Pulisic actually if I was to bring him in or not, but because I predicted Pulisic to get a minimum of an assist, so that worked out to be 5 points basically. Pulisic bringing in, but no, I think it's it's going to be. I think the games themselves are going to be pretty bad this weekend. There's just so many teams that are just going to cancel each other out, I think. I didn't even predict an away win, which is surprising. But no, I think everybody, what people I say they're tuning for, but it's team selection time, transfer talks.
Oh, yes. Well, I think, I've revealed what I've done earlier in the week, but I'm happy to get
the audience. Tell them what you did.
While I do that, please post your team in the Discord.
I can't.
Oh, you can't. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll bring yours up.
I'll bring the same as what it is.
I'll bring it up in a moment. Let's bring my team up here. Right. So my team currently is on the screen. Ramsdale in goal away at Newcastle, doubled up with Rico away at Newcastle. Am I confident? No, I'm not. I mean, my defense isn't looking great, guys. I'm going to admit I got Soyuncu at home to Arsenal. I predicted Arsenal would score. I predicted Newcastle would score. I got Lundstrom in defence. I predicted Tottenham were going to score. I'm not expecting a clean sheet from my back four. I'm not expecting a clean sheet at all. But I'm hoping going on to our midfield that it will improve. Mason Mount currently a major doubt for the weekend at home to Palace. I've got Hudson-Odoi on my bench to substitute on if Mount doesn't play. Would I prefer Mount to play? Of course I would. I don't hold much hope on Hudson-Odoi. I don't think he's doing it in the Premier League. Why I brought him in, I don't know why. Maybe a cup of juice, Steve-O. Martial scored tonight, home to Brighton. I expect Man United to win. And apparently Rashford scored. Rashford goal. Oh, God, here we go. Man United are starting. Maybe United. This is the kickstart United. Oh my God, I'm not saying that again. I think I've said that about a billion times. Martial, I'm praying that transfer isn't going to just backfire on me. But obviously I need to get David Silva out. I couldn't get Pulisic in. Let's move on to De Bruyne. De Bruyne away at Liverpool. Again, it all depends on the game, how the game goes. Is it going to be an attacking game? Is it going to be a cagey, sit back and wait, patient play? I don't think City are going to do that. I think City are going to try and go for the jugular and try and get the goals. Mane as well against, obviously, it's the mighty clash in that game. I'm not going to go with the Mane captain. I do think he could do so. I do think he'll score. But I do think my captaincy, which I'll get to in a minute, has got a better ceiling of goals. Tammy Abraham up front. I mean, again, I'm going to be watching that Chelsea game early kickoff. I'm going to be enjoying that. I'm hoping for goals in that game for Chelsea. Vardy is my captain at home to Arsenal. I think Arsenal's defence being well, everyone knows what Arsenal's defence is like. Dan can attest to that. He's going for Vardy for Leicester to score a couple of goals. I think this is a game where Vardy could get 2 or 3 goals. I'd be quite comfortable in saying that. And then lastly, Aguero. Could it be Aguero's final week in my team? I'm going to reveal my game plan. My game plan will be eventually to go Aguero to Sterling. It's pretty obvious that long term, the most comfortable asset to own between them is probably going to be Sterling. I've had Aguero for quite some time. I brought him in. I've been disappointed by him. I've been burnt by him a couple of times, but I just think the stability of Sterling is in the long run is going to be better. So could it be the last week of owning Aguero? I'm on my bench, like I said, I got Hudson-Odoi first sub, and the other 2 subs are a waste of time. Matip and Reed, who are currently unavailable. So Button as well, non-playing. So that's my team. I read it out for the audio listeners. Steve-O, let's bring your team up. Well, first of all, Steve-O, have you got any thoughts on my team? Do you think that I've got a solid team for this game, or do you think I'm going to be expecting a sort of an average result?
All I will say is that the only caveat that I'm kind of preying on is the fact that in the big games this season for Leicester, there's been 4. It's been, this is completely off the top of my head, so it's been Tottenham, Chelsea, Man United, and Liverpool, the big ones. Jamie Vardy's done nothing in any of them.
Are you going to follow your advice? Are you going to do what I did not?
I'm not going to lie. I've been playing around with getting Vardy in my team, but without removing Aguero. But it's impossible. So the only way I can get Vardy in my team is essentially to get rid of Aguero and bring in Vardy, obviously. But then I would have money to then upgrade Mason Mount. And then I was thinking maybe to get rid of Mendy for a -8 and all this. And
you've only just brought him in.
Yeah, but it's just that one game.
It's burnt you, isn't it? Well, you say it hasn't really burnt you. That actually did you a favour.
Yeah, no. But the point being is that I don't want players in my team which are rotation risks. Aguero is, Mendy is. I know the capabilities of what Aguero can bring to my team, so it's not a panic. And you know what? Genuinely, I think I might just stick with my team and go in with the international break with 2 free transfers. I'm honestly waiting on the Mason Mount news. It's all down to him. Jamie Vardy, even though, yes, obviously I'm going to be worried about not owning him, I think that I could just about I reckon I could get away with it and I think my team's within reason okay. Aguero's going to start against Liverpool. Obviously, Mane's going to start. Abraham's going to start. You get the idea. I'm not going to be playing Mopé. I've already got the team up as a 4-4-2 formation as it stands right now. I put Mane as captain.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna. You've gone onto your team, so I'm gonna bring your team up now. Sorry, I was just asking you what your thoughts were of my team, but I'll bring yours up now. Sorry, Steve. I was listening to you so closely that I didn't even bother bringing your team up. Here we go. This is Steve-O's team, guys. Carry on, Steve-O. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting on the Mason Mount news. If he's confirmed out, then I'm probably going to bring in. I'm going to bring in Pulisic and get rid of Mendy and bring in whoever. There are so many different transfer combinations I'm thinking of. I mentioned to you the other day that I'm thinking of doing maybe Vardy and Jimenez in for Mopé and Aguero as a simple example. I think I'm just going to ride the storm. I think stuff it. I just think, you know what?
Okay, who's your captain going to be if you don't bring in Vardy? Just
Mane.
out of curiosity.
Mane. I'm going 4-4-2, so it'll be Mopé on the bench, and I'm going to go 4-4-2. I'm going to play Mendy.
Wow, a game week where we have different captains, Steve-O.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm there's something in the back of my mind. I'm sure Dan will be listening with intent here and thinking, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I'm right in saying that last season that Mane he had several attempts to put Man City away. He just didn't take any of them. This is like in the opening 10, 15 minutes. He had opportunities to do really well, and he just didn't take them. I just have this thought process that he's going to do well this year. He was given a rest.
Sounds like a gut feeling, Steve-O.
And yes, it is. And at the end of the day, my season has been absolutely rubbish. I had a very good week last week. I'm not going to talk about last week. That was last week. But I just think I'd rather have 2 free transfers in the international break and maybe do like a mini wild card -4, -8. But my team doesn't need emergency surgery. So I'd happily go into this game with the team I've got and just ride out the Leicester Arsenal game. Mate, honestly, I pride myself on my predictions. It seems to be the only thing I seem to be good at. And I honestly don't think that it's going to be the high-scoring game, the history yourself. And I mean, you said 2-1. And again, based on this year, in the big games, Leicester, Jamie Vardy, more to the point, has blanked in every single one. I'm not going to lie, I'm clutching at the straws. I am going to be in complete panic mode. I am fully aware that when I do the Leicester versus Arsenal game, if I do it, that's when Jamie Vardy goes and gets 2 goals, I'll be a shrivelling wreck. But that's the unfortunate position I'm in. And
well, as one of the few remaining differentials over you, I certainly hope you don't bring Vardy in. But if you do bring Vardy in, it is a logical transfer. But again, it comes down to the fact you bring him in, you're going to captain him. I would imagine if you're doing that, you're playing into my hands because
yes, of course, yeah.
Because you're not going to catch
the points that you want. As G-Wiz and everybody, this seems to be the hashtag of Elite FPL, which is play your own game. And I'm sorry, but it is the most logical. It's a logical move. But to be honest with you, like I said, it's Arsenal. Whatever people may think, it's still a big game between two.
I certainly think if you don't bring him in now, I think if you do save transfers, you'll be bringing him in after the international.
Well, I'll be bringing him in after. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be bringing him in immediately. Because their next set of fixtures are just green, and I've got to get him in. I would say he's essential. I'm going against my own advice. He's the top scoring player in the game. He's scoring goals for fun. He's the most informed player in the Premier League. Why on earth would I overlook him? It's ridiculous. Yes, have I regretted not bringing him on my wild card? Yes, but it doesn't matter now. That happened, and I'm going to ride the storm, Jason. It's as simple as it gets. I think I may just not do any transfers, and I'm just going to ride the storm.
I don't believe you. I think this could be the payback for me saying I wasn't going to bring in Martial. Well, I never said that, but I said that I didn't like Martial. I think this could be the surprise where Steve-O goes and changes his mind. I think this for one.
Well, I'll be honest with you. What I was thinking of doing is getting rid of Aguero, bringing in Leicester, bringing in Vardy, but not captaining him, and still captaining Mane.
Just for that differential captain pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Genuinely.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you do that. I wouldn't be surprised, but getting someone like Aguero at your team could end up biting you. Could. Obviously, the history is suggested that Anfield, he hasn't got any real history there, but this is a desperate Man City team that are looking to try and catch a new kind of revitalized Liverpool team who obviously coming off the back of the Champions League and they're pushing for the title, the first title since the inception of the Premier League, something that the fans have been dreaming of for so many years. Could it be? No, it can't. City going to win this game.
At the end of the day, I don't want to keep banging on about it. It's just the fact that Man City have to win. And I don't know. I can't remember last season what specifically happened, but all I know is that it ended 0-0. We all assumed it was going to be goals galore. It didn't. But am I right in saying the circumstances were slightly different? At the end of the day, if Man City don't win this, they're going to be 7. Is it going to be 7 points behind? Won't they?
Yeah.
And that is a very, very large margin to be captured. And I think that Man City, they've got to go for it. And their main man, Aguero, is one of the best strikers in the world. And barring the fact that over recent times he's been rested by Pep, every time he plays, he scores. And I'm relying on Aguero to maybe come through for me, not taking a hit or anything like that. And I don't know. I just feel there's something about this particular game week where I don't think I'm going to regret not doing anything, apart from maybe not bringing in Vardy. But I've just discussed why I may not bring him in. So, but certainly the captaincy, I am very, very tempted by Mane. In fact, he was my before the game. Well, when the game updated last week, Mane was my bus captain. I just had it on him because I just saw that fixture and I just thought, you know what? Man City can't keep clean sheets. Liverpool can't, and it's just going to be, like you just said, a boxing match, end to end, going for the jugular. Klopp ain't gonna want to lose at Anfield, and Pep ain't gonna want to hold it to a draw. He's gonna want to win this game.
And
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. We got a question in chat. Which is better, Mount or Maddison? Currently, Maddison.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, what based on the fact that he's injured? I mean, yeah, obviously.
Even if he plays, I think Mount's going to be playing not 100%.
Yes.
So I would go with if I had to choose, I would be going Maddison.
Absolutely, yeah. For this specific game.
For this game, put in the captain Martial Stevo. Be brave, says Nick in chat. Is that brave or is that damn right stupidity?
I wouldn't want to put it on him because Man United are useless. They're not reliable enough to score goals.
You got to go on what you've seen, the history, Man United aren't reliable. They're not reliable at all in FPL, and it's a punt. Martial's a punt. Let's make no mistake about it. I know he scored tonight, but it's still a punt. We got Adam France in Discord. I don't know if you're watching, Adam, but he said United are back. Don't make me laugh. They're not back. They've got a long way to go before people can start saying that. Yeah, Edison looks like he's going to be out, Joville. Yeah, I think he's going to be in. I do think he's probably going to be out. Steve-O, what's your thoughts on that? Muscular injury. I heard, and it's a weight fitness test. I mean, wait for the press conferences. I certainly wouldn't be doing to transfers. Yeah,
it usually happens every single season.
Yeah.
Ex reliable goalkeeper is injured or whatever, and the debutant comes in this case Bravo, and he'll end up keeping a flaming clean sheet. It always happens. It's like when Roberto came in for Fabianski, when Adrian came in for Alisson. What did Adrian do again? Didn't Adrian get a couple of clean sheets or something, or a load of save points? I can't remember now, but he actually did okay.
Oh yeah, that's all right. It was all right. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of people looking at this game week.
Gazzinia's another one.
Gazziniga.
Yeah, he's another one.
I don't know. It is another one. Yeah. I think that I personally don't go anywhere near Spurs. I'm not Brew or Booner. Get Carl Walker in now. He's playing out of position. Says Fast Air. But FPL have already tweeted out if he plays in goal, he don't get any save points. He didn't get nothing. A brace for Martial, Paul J says. I'm not up to date on the score, but let's have a look. No, there's not a brace. No, I've not seen another goal for. Oh, is he? He's probably predicting the game for Brighton. So yeah. So currently the game is in its 70th minute, 67 minutes played. 3-0 to United.
I would argue that whoever United are playing now are a lot more easier than the Brighton.
Oh yeah. This is just FK Partizan are no Brighton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be concerned too much about that or whatever. But no, I think unless I don't know what you want to do next, Jason.
I don't think we've got anyone in the waiting room tonight, guys. considering that we're going to be doing a lot of streams over the weekend, I think that a lot of you guys in chat will have your opinions voiced on air over the weekend. So tonight we're going to do a slightly reduced stream. So we've gone through the predictions, gone through our thoughts, gone through our teams, and we're going to leave it here, guys. And we're going to have the call-ins on the weekend. All right. So if Steve,
we'll let people know what's going to be actually happening, though.
Yeah.
I think to continue this and what we're doing. So the plan is this. This is based on my specific Wi-Fi circumstances. But if all goes to plan, there should be a deadline hour stream tomorrow. So that'll be 6 o'clock roughly. I'm not going to be covering Norwich versus Watford unless I can be bothered, but that's a very, very slim chance because I can't be bothered to sit through a 0-0. It's going to drive me up the flaming wall unless I talk about AEW, which I'm not very happy with, but whatever. Then when it comes to Saturday, we are going to be doing Saturday FPL Live from 3 p.m, where we're going to be covering Burnley versus West Ham, Newcastle versus Bournemouth, Southampton, Everton, Tottenham versus Sheffield United. And then I should be doing the Leicester versus Arsenal game. And then I would have thought, Jason, then you would be doing a solo, doing the Saturday night reaction, I'd assume. But if not, then it doesn't really matter.
We'll work something out. Probably do something like that. So for the afternoon kickoff, so 3 o'clock. What's happening then?
Yeah, we'll be doing Soccer Saturday FPL Live
together.
Well, if you're available, then
I'll make myself available. I'll be there. I'm mostly confident. I need to ask the boss, but I'm pretty confident I'll be there for the Saturday afternoons. And I'll try my best to do one on a Saturday night as well.
Yeah, and then on Sunday I'll be covering, or I should be covering, the Liverpool versus Man City game, and then of course it's Sunday surgery at the usual time of 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like Jason said, it's going to be a very, very busy schedule. And
there'll be a lot of Elite FPL over the weekend. That's basically what we're trying to do.
I think, to be honest with you, I don't care. I think that it's good that we do this. I said it last night on the stream. I said that at the end of the day, I don't understand why for years no other... I'm not even talking about content creators, and I'm talking about certain forum sites. They don't seem to do anything regarding the football live. I've never understood it. And we do it. And I'm glad we do it. I'm glad we cover the games and actually see how it affects our mindsets and whatever regarding fantasy football, because that's what we're here for. We're not here to, well, we are, but we're not here to talk real life football. We're here to talk about how it affects us from our Cash Mini League point of view. And
I'm not going to eat donuts. I'm not going to eat donuts. I have not seen Show Me the Mane. I have not seen him in... I tell you now, guys, just between you and me, just saying that those donuts I ate last weekend, although they were fresh, they were tasty, they kind of became not so tasty after the 4th or 5th donut. I think I ate about 50... I think I must have eaten 15 donuts. And they were the full-sized ring donuts, and I felt so ill. It was indescribable. I'm never doing that again. Sorry. I would rather drink a bottle of Prosecco than eat 15 donuts. Like, when your body tells you, yeah, you are currently you poison your body. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah.
Not good. We've got 2 people in the waiting room, Pig Asian and Charlie. I know that we've approached the hour mark now.
It's pointless. I'm really sat here just...
Yeah, I know you will be. No, that's fine. Nothing. That's fine. I mean, unless there's anything urgent, I think we're pretty much good where we are now. To wrap this up.
It's gonna be a big weekend for Elite FPL, and before we go into the international break, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of laughs and enjoyment. To be honest with you.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here tonight. I just want to say again, Tap Sport. There was a winner of Tap Sport. Alpine FPL won the Tap Sport. If you don't know what that is, It's a free-to-play predictions game, just like our predictions game. You can use our code, our unique code, to register. It'll give you an extra play, and it will enter you into a unique Elite FPL draw each month to win a cash prize of £100. An Elite FPL winner called Alpine FPL generously has deferred his winnings to the channel in support, so massive thanks to him. Again, Tap Sport. Honestly, guys, it's free money. It's free money. Why not play it? Why not play it? It's easy. There's a few championship games in there you got to predict, but I mean, if you don't mind doing that, hit it up. Thank you guys for everything you do and supporting the show. Thank you, Steve-O, for joining us tonight on your mobile data, and hopefully you'll get your internet fixed. Everybody, take it easy.